Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hello, everybody. I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of...
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of our favorite 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down to the finest morsel.
What is up, everyone? Hi, Kevin. Oh, delicious.
Oh, my God.
Where did that come from, baby?
That came from Athens, Georgia.
I love it. What are we drinking over there?
I'm still partaking of the Terrapin Brewery's Recreation Ale.
Delicious.
It's a nice, perfect summer beer.
And I'm still nursing this Wilderness Trail bourbon from Danville or Dansville, somewhere in Kentucky, some small distillery. They're doing things right with their single barrel. We hope everybody's doing well. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling good.
Good.
I love talking about Arnold. So,
and we are here to talk about Arnold.
Any day spent talking about Arnold is a day well spent.
That's right. Hopefully everyone has been keeping themselves physically fit, and if not, keep your mind physically fit. We're going to talk about Running Man, speaking of physical fitness.
If you want to have motivation to stay fit, you just check out Arnold between 1975 and 1995.
Delicious.
That was a man about his fitness.
He was a slab of fitness.
He was. I would never want to carry that type of bulk.
No.
But man, he was trim and shredded up.
When you think about and everything that we've already talked about Arnold, like Arnold's life was built around discipline for sure, like a lot of self-discipline, you know?
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this movie that we're talking about here, Running Man. Never a shirtless scene from Arnold.
Well, yeah, the closest that you get really is that World's Gym shirt.
That, I mean, he's wearing the skin tight, like the spandex, the Adidas, but it's a strange move to have Arnold and you never have a gratuitous muscle shots.
That's true. Not like in Commando where just the whole movie is muscle porn.
Yeah. I mean, but even, you got Twins or you got
porn,
Predator.
Muscle
and it's
porn.
like, yeah, you're showing those biceps. You're showing all that anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, you sort of see some muscles in some of the early scenes, but then once that Adidas suit, that sweet Adidas tracksuit goes on, it's just sort of occluded from view. I guess we'll catch our listeners up. If you're familiar with this movie, what has happened up to this point is that in our last chapter, Ben Richards, convicted wrongfully of mass murder, was trying to blow town with his captive Maria Conchita Alonso, playing Amber, was apprehended at the airport and taken to ICS headquarters, where he was coerced into appearing on the most popular show in the world, Running Man. He agreed to do it to save the lives of his two former prison mates, Weiss and Laughlin.
Who he didn't really have love for those guys.
No, he didn't.
When they were in jail together.
But you get that he's sort of a stand-up guy. He was willing to take a fall for the team. And then while this is happening, he agrees to do this. And while this is happening, we see that Amber is starting to sort of get suspicious about ICS's goings on. As Richards is about to be launched into the arena, Gilligan, played by Richard Dawson, reveals that Laughlin and Weiss are also going into the arena. Fuck you. And as they're about to be launched, we cut to a scene of Amber snooping through some files at ICS headquarters. And that should get us caught up for our next exciting chapter in our breakdown of Running Man. So yeah, this episode opens with Richards, Laughlin, and Weiss rocketing through those tubes.
That's right. And as another very prolonged sequence of like
fucking love these shots though. Like how do you film that?
I don't know. I feel like it was probably a model and you send a camera through it or something.
But they're going so fast. Yeah, maybe it was a scale
you shoot
model.
it in like the opposite of slow motion. You shoot it.
Oh, that's true.
And then you play it back. And then you play it back high speed, and it looks really fast.
It looks fast. The way that it projects that there's like weight in those little pods that they're in, like rocketing around those corners and stuff. That's a really, really awesome practical effect. I bought it.
It was cool as hell. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It is a strange way. This game where they're playing, they're above ground, I guess, right? At first, when I was watching it, I think I felt like they were maybe underground, in a city below the city. But they're open to the sky.
Gilligan says that they're like out in the open in a section of the city that was destroyed in an earthquake.
That's right. So now it's just sort of closed off from the general public, I guess.
Right. Well, some of the general public, because there are fucking a lot of people in the arena. Like when they pop out, when they emerge from the tubes, they're just like surrounded by leather daddies on motorcycles. So you get the feeling that there are 4 quadrants, but maybe that they're occupied by citizens of Los Angeles still, which is weird, right? They live in the arena. Weird.
There's a lot weird going on because, when they pop out the end of the tubes in their little sleds, they're just sort of caught in like a big ass net. Like the whole system seems like a lot could go wrong.
Well, and then I wonder what kinds of releases do these like bikers and stuff, are they extras? Do they get paid by the hour to show up and be on the show, or do they live?
The ones that are sort of strong arming them, like shoving them along.
They're like funneling them by riding real close on their motorcycles and chasing them kind of.
Those guys have to work for ICS, right?
Maybe, yeah.
But there were people, I think, a little higher up looking down on this whole scene and cheering and everything like that. So maybe you pay enough money and you can get to this point where you're watching them first enter the... It's kind of, it's like a gladiator thing, right?
Definitely.
It's like American Gladiators or traditional Roman shit.
Did you love American Gladiators?
People love to watch this.
American Gladiators as a kid?
I enjoyed it too, man. USA Network, I think, played it.
I loved that Saturday mornings at like 11.
Nitro, Turbo, or whatever these dudes' names are.
My favorite was this like honky ass white dude named Tower, who could bench like 430 or something ridiculous like that. Like
those dudes had to be so roided up.
Oh, 100%.
Those guys. That was a product of the era of Arnold.
Oh, definitely.
Show like that.
He contributed, and this movie contributed to the advent of American Gladiators.
Yeah. You want to watch people hunt each other.
Right?
It's fucking dark.
What was your favorite American Gladiator event?
I liked, classic was like the joust, maybe.
Okay.
Was that the one where they were just like on two platforms hitting each other with the clubs?
Yeah, the pugil staff.
Like a big ass Q-tip.
Okay, yeah. So you like that one?
No,
that was a good one.
I liked the one, my favorite was the one where they were running around and the guys were shooting at them.
Same.
Like with the,
what the fuck was
they
that
shooting tennis balls or something,
they were
basically?
shooting tennis balls at them.
I love that shit. I don't know what they called that one.
That one was my favorite too. Should we look it up?
That shit was awesome. It might have been called like the Gauntlet or something.
The Gauntlet was the very last, the obstacle course.
Where they had to run up the treadmill.
All right. The Assault. Okay. The one that we're talking about the event was called Assault. The contender had 60 seconds to hit a target using a series of projectile weapons while avoiding high-speed tennis balls being fired at them by a gladiator using an air-powered cannon.
I fucking love that.
That was my favorite event, too. And like, I had no idea if I would be any good at it, but man, it gave me hope. I was like, man, maybe I'd be really good at being a contestant on that show. But
do you have a list of the names of some gladiators over there? I want to know some of these gladiators. They have the raddest names.
Let's go to American Gladiators.
Or maybe I want to know how many seasons that show was on as well.
I can tell you that. In 1989 to 1996, it was on the air. So it had a nice long run. And
I feel like this movie, Running Man, came out like late 87.
And so they were like,
so if this show came out in 89, I feel like they saw this movie and they were like, we're starting production on this shit right away. Like, we got to work this up.
oh yeah.
Did that run on network television in prime time when it was new episodes?
No, yes. When it came out in prime time, it ran on like NBC or CBS or something like that. Yeah.
I think I only ever saw it on like USA Network syndication.
I actually liked the new, like when they rebooted it, I liked it.
Yeah. There will always be a place for a show like that.
I've got a list of American Gladiator names.
I'm sure there were a lot because I bet they were changing season by season.
Classic gladiators.
Yeah.
We have names like Atlas, Blaze, Bronco, Cyclone, Dallas, Diamond, Electra, Gemini. Gemini was fucking awesome. That dude was huge. Michael Horton, the guy that played him, he was like one of my favorite ones. He's like just giant guy. Laser, Nitro, Lace, Jazz.
Jazz was probably a female.
Yeah, Jazz was like that ripped black lady. She was beautiful. She was fucking monster. Siren was one of my favorites because she had an interesting story because she was deaf. Oh shit! Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then there was Tower, Sky, Storm, Sunny, Tank, Thunder, Titan. There are Tower, who we mentioned before, Turbo, Viper, and Zap.
I feel like these names of these gladiators sound like they could also be the names of bulls in like professional bull riding. Laser. You can ride Bronco.
Oh man, yeah.
Rocket.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess we'll get back to talking about the movie.
How did
now.
we get here? That shit needs to be on Netflix.
It does.
Or something like
that would
it.
be awesome if they brought that back to Netflix for sure.
Yeah, I would watch the shit out of that.
All right, I guess we'll talk about the movie again.
So yeah, where were we? Richard Laughlin and the guys had just arrived in the arena,
surrounded
floor,
by
I
leather
guess.
daddies.
That's right. Hold on.
Then we cut to Amber in the office.
Right. Amber is going through file cabinets there in the ICS offices, and she finds the
raw footage,
Ben
I guess,
Richards Bakersfield Massacre edited version, and then the Ben Richards Bakersfield Massacre raw footage.
Love it.
Which it's weird that they keep the raw version.
That shit would have been destroyed pronto. At that moment, someone grabs her. Well, but before we see that, she hides it somewhere, some orifice or other. We guess.
I want to talk about that later.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Then she gets grabbed.
Yeah, she grabs it out of the drawer. Yeah, she stashes it somewhere. And then she's grabbed from behind by someone that we don't see, but there's no doubt that it's got to be a bad guy, right?
For sure. She's been apprehended.
Okay, so now Laughlin and Weiss have landed in the arena.
I love that the leather daddies help them out of their little pods.
I love that you just keep calling them leather
They
daddies.
are, man.
That's
They're
awesome.
all just like biker dudes, but they've all got like a Village People vibe, which is awesome.
So, they're all sort of, but they're sort of shuffled along into this arena type setting. And meanwhile, back up in the main studio, Gilligan is interviewing an audience member, asking them, I guess audience members get to pick which stalker hunts.
That's sort of badass.
Yeah. So this woman, she's waffling. She says she likes them big and cuddly.
Edith Wiggins, come on down, is her name. Edith Wiggins.
What is
Edith
it?
Wiggins is her name.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, I don't know." She's like, "I like them big and cuddly."
My husband and my little boy have their favorites, but I like my men big and cuddly.
So she picks Subzero.
Oh, we also see during this like the back and forth shots from the studio to the street, like the street level where people are like taking and making bets on stuff. So there are like side games going on about like the success of the stalker to track down the contestants.
That's right. So she selects Subzero, who enters the arena. He's like big. It's the Professor Toru Tanaka.
Yeah.
Big fucking just rotund Like, well, I don't even want to say he's fat. He's just got that like thick build, like a sumo build almost.
It's like there's
something.
muscle. He looks like one of the guys that would compete in the Strongest Man, the MedRx Strongest Man in the World competitions.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's just like solid, just a mass.
Right? He's
Right?
apparently got like 30 lifetime kills. And he slices a gong in half with his axe hockey stick and just lets out that blood curdling scream. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's got this crazy ass blade that's shaped like a hockey stick. He's got this whole hockey vibe about him or whatever. Like that's his character,
which is interesting. Hockey themed murderer of stalkers who we will be introduced to that include Dynamo and the dude on the motorcycle. Where does Subzero and also Jim Brown and Captain Freedom? So if we just take them all in, taking stock of all of them, where does Subzero fall on your scale of favorite stalkers?
Dynamo's got to be the worst.
Dynamo's hands down the worst. Even as an opera singer, Dynamo sucks.
Subzero is pretty high up there.
Yeah.
I like Subzero a lot. I liked, I think his name is Fireball, Jim Brown. I liked him a lot.
And that motherfucker can fly too. That's sort of badass.
We didn't really get to see much. We'll get to it, but we don't get to see much from Captain Freedom.
Right.
But yeah, no, I was digging Subzero. I'm not sure what the relation is between hockey and him being, Japanese or whatever. And they're talking about he dices them up into bloody quivering sushi, which I'm like, okay.
You're reaching, but I mean, they have winter sports in Japan. It's a thing, but still
absolutely
it's very strange.
Not their jam to my knowledge.
No, not at all.
So yeah, back down in the arena, Richards, Laughlin, and Weiss are being sort of herded into the game area. Captain Freedom is working as like a sideline reporter almost, or he's reporting from the stalker locker room.
I love that. It's
very much like Monday Night Football or whatever else you might watch. He's like the retired guy.
But I love that he like starts the anecdote, but is like cut off, like Gilligan cuts him off, like he's a has-been. It's so funny.
He looked like he legit had his feelings hurt when Gilligan interrupted him.
It's so funny. And
dude, who were all the other like buff ass dudes in the locker room? Just wannabe stalkers?
I think there were maybe other stalkers.
Yeah, but not the most famous ones, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think maybe the studio, maybe Gilligan gets to decide which ones are available on a certain night. But
maybe.
But I love that Gilligan cuts him off and announces that the trio has entered the first quad.
That's right. I think it's Weiss who's like, it's cold. Do you not realize you're standing on ice?
Yeah, they're trapped in an icy area. Of course it's cold.
Yeah. But so, anyway, that was funny to me. They're trapped in this sort of ice arena. Subzero enters on skates, right? And he just starts kind of beating them down.
Just bumping them, body checking them and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, the people at the watch parties and all this and were dressed in fucking high 80s style, man.
The 1%.
It was incredible.
Yeah, the rich people of the world were watching.
It was shit out of American Psycho or something. Yeah, it was fucking that party at Weekend at Bernie's.
Shoulder pads and jackets, sleeves rolled up and collars popped and skinny ties. It was giant hair. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking badass. So Subzero, he knocks Weiss down and knocks him into a goal, like a hockey style goal that sort of closes around him like a trap.
Yeah, springs a trap. Yeah,
it's weird.
I'm wondering why didn't they grab the motorcycles earlier?
The good guys had access to motorcycles?
The dudes on dirt bikes were herding them into the ice skating rink. Why didn't they just turn around and take a motorcycle?
Take them, beat up those guys? I don't know. There's a lot of this movie that just needs to happen the way it happens, right?
I guess. I suppose so.
Back in the studio, Gilligan is presenting the audience member. What was it, Edith?
Edith Wiggins. Yeah.
He's presenting Edith with these door prizes, VHS box set of Running Man.
That was so indicative of the time because still I can remember game shows on Nickelodeon and even on Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune where contestants would win the computer version of the game to take home and stuff like that. Yeah. It's very...
You're just advertising the products, right?
Big time.
But Richards, he's trying to help Weiss get out of that trap. But Subzero shoots this sort of exploding hockey puck.
Yeah.
at him. It hits near him. It's like a concussion grenade.
Yeah,
It sort of knocks Richards down, knocks him out of commission for a little bit. It might have been the same thing that Carl rolled out in Die Hard at the beginning.
He's like roll it out on the floor and incapacitate the security guard, that worthless security guard.
So then Laughlin comes out and he's trying to help, but Subzero attacks him and he's got him down and is hacking at him with the stick.
Yeah, I mean, the people are fucking bloodthirsty. Like the lust for blood is strong on the audience. That's
the name of the game, man. I guess. Yeah. But Richards comes to and he comes back and he rescues Laughlin. Dude, it's fucking straight nasty.
Yeah, it's a brutal way to go, but it's fucking awesome.
He rips the arena is sort of lined with razor wire.
Yeah, so you imagine it's like so the contestants can't like run up a wall and escape or something like that. Yeah.
But so Richard sort of rips down some of this razor wire and has strung it up sort of across the arena, I guess. So when Subzero comes skating at him, he skates right into it and sort of gets it wrapped around his neck, and his throat is just like cut. Yeah. He bleeds out, whatever. It's pretty fucking gruesome, really.
That's a rough way to go. And the crowd is understandably stunned.
That's right. So does a normal Running Man episode end this quickly? Like the first guy gets killed in 5 minutes?
I think a normal episode of Running Man is 3 hours.
So what would happen if they had just been killed here?
Then it would.
Then it's just over, or do they bring out another? They got another contestant waiting in the wings.
I think they have other contestants, because it was sort of like if you remember in American Gladiator, if a contestant got injured, like if they rolled an ankle or something like that, which happened on the show, like they bring in a backup gladiator who would come in. And that was always awesome, is when guys, I can't remember if I feel like they did assume the points that whatever gladiator or whatever contestant had like accumulated in the show to that point, that they picked up those points. But I was always rooting for those guys, because they came in, they were just in the back, like warming up or whatever, just in case someone got hurt, and then came out and like jumped in and like, you try to do the best you can.
I only ask because like the audience is just, the crowd is stunned.
Yeah.
Like as if this never happens.
Right. You get the feeling,
that's what had me. It makes me wonder then how do they normally fill a show?
But that's weird, because last season 3 guys allegedly won.
Maybe they normally just elude the stalkers but don't kill them.
Right.
Maybe that's the way it goes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, because obviously you just have to work your way through the 4 quadrants. It doesn't say you have to kill the stalkers.
They don't.
Right? Like maybe you just hide and sneak
so you're
through.
saying that Ben Richards is a new flavor to their Baskin and Robbins Sunday.
He is pretty fucking murderous.
Yeah, he's not just trying to run through there. He's like, I'm going to neutralize the threat, motherfucker.
He enjoys killing. He just doesn't like killing innocent people.
Right, exactly.
But he yells to the camera.
I don't appreciate this line.
This line, the kiss off line. All right. Here is Subzero. Now Plane Zero. Okay.
Not good.
It doesn't even make sense. I mean, I guess you can say a person is a zero, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Maybe like, why not like absolute zero?
Yeah, there were better lines that could have been written to Sousa.
Or here's Subzero, now just a zero. Or something like that.
Something
would be better than
Come
now.
on, Steve.
Zero. Yeah, D'Souza, we're definitely going to tag you. We're definitely going to at you. This moment sucked.
I hope he's on social media. He's probably listening right now. Why wouldn't he be?
He's got nothing else going on. Street Fighter ruined him.
No, don't say that. Kidding. We love you, Steve.
Actually, yes, we do.
Your writing in the 80s was fucking top notch, my dude.
Steve D'Souza made our childhood what it was, Kevin. We have him as much to thank as anyone.
So Richards and Laughlin are like dapping it up with each other, high-fiving and stuff.
Yay!
The mood in the studio, very somber.
Yeah.
Then he drops his second one-liner for the kill. I think it's Weiss says, "Sure glad we took care of Subzero." And you got fucking Richards. Yeah, he was a real pain in the neck.
Boo.
Oh, boo. Why?
Yeah, I love that.
One-liners for days.
And it's at that moment that to, I guess, get the contestants running, some like gas starts pumping into the ice skating rink. And so Richards and the boys have to like mosey on to the next quadrant, or at least in the direction
of. They're being like funneled through the thing. Gilligan, he's like on the phone with the Justice Department trying to smooth things over.
Yeah.
He makes a weird Gilligan's Island reference.
You want ratings and people in front of their TVs. You ain't going to get that with reruns of Gilligan's Island. And then there's this pregnant pause. The one with the boat. I love that this takes place in a world, like in the real world, and that people don't remember like classic TV.
Well, I was wondering, like, how does a Gilligan's Island reference still play?
To people like you and me, but yeah, or maybe even people like like maybe a decade younger, like my sister. But then I think my nieces would have no idea. My nieces who are like late elementary to middle school age would have no fucking clue what Gilligan's Island is.
I used to watch the shit out of Gilligan's Island. That was another TBS staple, like weekday mornings. Gilligan's Island and Happy Days.
I love me some Happy Days.
I do. I love the Fonz.
Yes. Oh, man.
The epitome of cool
still to this day.
So we've got now the next audience member, this goof, is having a real hard time picking a stalker.
I don't know. I don't know.
This dude is such a fucking milquetoast. Like, he's just like so indecisive. He says he really likes Buzzsaw and he really likes Dynamo as well. So Gilligan says, you know what? We're going to send them both in. I'm guessing maybe what it must be is that the Justice Department is not happy to see Richards killing anyone. Like, maybe that's why they say they normally don't allow military prisoners to be part of the show. Maybe it's because these guys are trained killers.
That makes sense.
I don't know. But yeah, this dude's name was Leon. He was like such a fucking mook. I mean, he's like, anyway.
Gilligan lets it fly, though. He lets his indecision make the decision and sends both.
Yeah, fucking send them both in.
Buzzsaw and Dynamo. And I love the we get the aside from Gilligan's assistant saying that ratings have spiked, and also we caught a broad snooping in the archives.
That's true. Let's talk a little bit about Buzzsaw and Dynamo.
Yes, please. Let's talk about Buzzsaw first. Yeah, let's hit Buzzsaw.
Yeah, Buzzsaw is introduced first, I think. He's this chainsaw wielding maniac.
He is roid rage personified.
Yes, he reminds me of like the Smasher from Over the Top.
We fucking love the Smasher, baby.
Or any number of probably pro wrestlers of that era.
His theme and look are self-explanatory based on his name. He's just this hulking badass with chainsaws.
Yeah, he's like beet red skin, bleached crew cut.
But that's because his blood pressure is astronomical.
Oh my God.
Astronomical. Yeah. Like, man. And then we get
Dynamo.
He is an enigma, shall we say.
I was going to say, I think you probably have a affinity for Dynamo. He's kind of like a hefty dude.
He was,
he looks like he's wearing a light bright.
He is played by this guy named Erland Philip van Lent de Hoyde, who was a Dutch-American actor, opera singer, and amateur wrestler who came from a family of opera singers. And he really, he doesn't have a bad voice based on the little bit that you hear in the movie. It's not great.
I was going to ask you, were you impressed by the chops?
He doesn't have a bad voice, but this is apparently his last role. He died of heart failure a few months after this movie came out, which was really, really sad.
I didn't know that. Bummer.
So he comes out singing literally the last the last sung lines of an aria from Mozart's opera Marriage of Figaro, Le Nozze di Figaro, if you're feeling sophisticated. And the Italian aria translates, and he's singing it in Italian, but it translates to, already the hope of vengeance consoles my soul and makes me rejoice. So he's singing about vengeance. And it made me wonder, does Dynamo sing like a different aria every time he comes out, or is it always the Count's aria from Act 3 of Marriage of Figaro?
He's got his old favorites.
And he's also he's called Dynamo presumably because electricity is his weapon.
Yeah.
But why opera?
It's kind of weird.
Why this guy?
Just because he can?
Because
I don't know.
Because he was giant. The dude's probably 6'6", 6'7", and weighs close to 400 pounds. He's just enormous.
Oh, shit.
Just enormous.
It was hard to gauge his height because he had that plastic sort of light up mohawk thing on his head. It did make him enormous.
His suit looks ridiculous. Just all electric and lit up and stuff. And
that's what I said. It was like a light bright. Do you remember Light Bright?
Fuck, I love the Light Bright, man.
I never had one myself, but I remember it well.
I think our babysitter had one. We were poor.
Meanwhile, he's shooting these like lightning bolts out that are making this sign light up that says "Clap if you love Dynamo."
Doesn't make any sense. Like the character doesn't make any sense.
How insecure is Dynamo?
Yeah, or maybe
cheer for me.
Or maybe the rest of the network knows that he's not one of the more popular ones, so they're like, "Come on, guys, you got to clap for Dynamo. Come on, clap for Dynamo."
I don't know, man. This dude Leon really liked him.
That's
apparently,
true, Leon.
the audience member. But yeah, so. Anyway, that's wild. We've really upped the ante from, I think, even from Subzero.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
These guys are characters for sure.
Over the top.
Like a truck, like a machine.
So Gilligan has had Amber dragged out by Sven Ole Thorsen as a bonus contestant.
Yay.
I love this bit.
I do too.
So they claim she's here because she's immoral and she's got all this contraband stuff in her apartment.
This bit of the script is maybe some of the best writing that D'Souza did in this movie.
Are you talking about that? He's like, she's promiscuous. She has relationships with 2, sometimes 3 different men in a year.
How lascivious. It's her. Yeah, she apparently they claim that she hooked up with Mad Dog Ben Richards. That one's a lie, she says.
I love that. So that one's a lie.
Yeah, her. But I love the voice on the announcer. The dude's voice is solid. He's like,
he was a killer.
Her Confederate, her lover.
Mad Dog Ben Richards.
I love it.
I mean, they should have stuck with the Butcher of Bakersfield, but I also like the Mad Dog.
Yeah.
That one's a lie.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love that. That's sort of the admission that the rest of it's true. I love
so
that.
good. So good.
So they're going to launch her into the game, I suppose.
That's right. The crowd is loving it. More cool shots of things flying fast around corners and down tubes.
Yeah, that's cool. And then meanwhile, down on the arena floor, Weiss has noticed that all the camera relays that are all over the arena, they're all pointed not up to the sky or like towards a satellite or a tower or anything like that. They're just pointed in towards the center of the arena.
That's a hell of a thing to notice when you're being chased and hunted like that.
But I guess this makes him deduce that the ICS propaganda machine must be transmitting from somewhere inside the arena.
Does that seem stupid to you?
Oh, yeah.
That's a terrible place to keep the uplink to the satellite is in the arena.
It's super dumb. I mean, I guess it's an area that's sort of closed off from the public.
It's supposed to be secure, I guess, too.
I guess so. But yeah, and it's surveilled all the time.
I'm willing to admit ignorance and defer to Weiss's wisdom on this point.
He's proven to be right.
That's
I'm not sure that logically it makes sense for ICS to be set up this way, but it's right.
But yeah, they sort of break it down that the mission now is find the uplink, crack the code, and get it to Mick so he can jam the network.
Right. Richards, he wants to just go on through the game and try to get out of there.
Jam it up your ass. Forget this crazy uplink business. They need to keep moving or die. He's got a point.
He reluctantly goes along with them, though, I guess.
Because you get the feeling that, they're running the other way, and he's like, God damn it, and like is reluctant to follow, but he's just like, fuck.
It's kind of, it's like what? It's like when you got like C3PO and R2, and he's like, oh, you go your own way. And then he's like, all right.
I'm not going that way. It's much too rocky. No more adventures.
The guys are trying to hide, kind of, but I feel like in this setup, cameras are seeing everything.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
But they're laying low, and they feel like maybe they've sort of found where perhaps the uplink is. Right. I don't know. But Amber somehow is caught up with them already. Like she just appears.
Well, she didn't have, I guess she just breezed right through a quadrant because there wasn't a bad guy, but that seems weird. I guess she's a bonus contestant, so maybe it doesn't mean that she can just catch up and become part of the game immediately as opposed to having to face her own stalker and immediately dying because she's by herself, maybe. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. But I was just like, wow, she caught up quickly. At about the same time now, Buzzsaw and Dynamo find them, and the good guys get sort of separated into pairs.
Right? Was he Buzzsaw on his bike and Dynamo in his dune buggy? I guess.
Yeah, it's like this goofy little car. It's got that sort of kit from Knight Rider, like red lights flashing across the front.
Yes, exactly, right across the front. it's so hokey looking, man.
Yeah, Buzzsaw is like riding around on that dirt bike. He's got the chainsaws in both hands, which, seems a little dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they get separated. I think Richards and Laughlin are being chased around by Buzzsaw.
Right.
Meanwhile, Amber and Weiss, they're being chased by Dynamo.
Right.
Now, Weiss is like dead set on finding that uplink. So Amber is just sort of running along behind him. And somehow she knows his name really well already.
Well, maybe
she just keeps saying Weiss.
Maybe
was he famous from the news?
I think that maybe because she'd been in the studio that day, she just knew the contestants' names, and probably like her agent or whatever that sent her into the thing was her court appointed talent agent, was probably like, the contestants you'll be in the arena with are Ben Richards, Laughlin, and Weiss. And
that's a good question. Do you think she went through all the paperwork and all that processing stuff, all the barium injections and the medical shit?
Like she had to have. I feel like everyone has
just rushed it.
Everyone has to, because we see right before this that they're being tracked, which doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, that's why, like, the game is rigged.
Yeah, the game is rigged big time.
I gotta say, man, I thought Amber looked kind of nice in the spandex suit.
Everyone looks good in the spandex suit, man.
Well, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you would. You would rock that shit. It's form fitting, baby.
But yeah, we got Weiss and Amber, and Weiss is trying to break his way into the uplink area. Meanwhile, there's Richards and Laughlin. They're trying to sneak into some sort of big warehouse type area to hide.
Definitely like giant searchlights shining right on them as they were running toward that building.
I mean, there's no hiding in this setup.
That's right. We know what quadrant you are.
Stacked.
Do you think that the stalkers are receiving like audio feed of like where they're going, or that they like tracking devices or something?
The interesting thing was, how did Amber find them? And just in the whole wide world, I wonder if some person just sort of escorted her right to where they were.
She was being funneled by dirt bike gangs also. I think that the dirt bike gangs... But
do you think they took her all the way through the first quadrant and to where the guys thought they were hidden?
Or around the first quadrant. That she landed in and then they hustled her up towards her starting line, which is where everybody else already was. Like in that area. That's my guess. Anyway,
I'm kind of curious about the Stephen King story now, and if there's how long or short it is, and how much details in there.
I've been wanting to get it, but I've made a pact with myself that I won't buy any more fucking books until I read all the ones that I have, and I've got 2 shelves sitting right next to me of books that I've got to get through. There are fucking a lot of books.
It's always a challenge. Was the name of that one, was it just called The Running Man?
It's called The Running Man.
Okay. I think it's a novella or something. I think it's probably pretty damn short.
Let's get it, and when we'll weigh in. I'm going to read it before next time. Psych. I'm not going to read it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it off for this episode.
Okay, I guess so.
We'll pick up with the carnage and the mayhem next week.
We'll be back.